Hey, welcome in. We're about ready to kick off a Wednesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. The music is playing, and we'll be with you very, very soon. Welcome in to a Wednesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. Glad to have you along. We're going to discuss the two-tiered system of justice in America today. We're going to boil it down right here at home in Columbus and in the state of Ohio, not just with Hunter Biden's trial in Delaware, not just with Donald Trump's verdict in New York City. Some troubling details about how things are handled here in Ohio and how things are not handled, not even looked at, as where we begin a Wednesday edition of the show. Let's start local, as we like to do. The violence in the city continues. The carnage among our youth continues. 21-year-old Caleb McKenzie is unfortunately deceased this morning. Mr. McKenzie was in a car accident last night at 10:39 p.m. in the 700 block of Sullivan Avenue. Doctors found him unresponsive, police found him unresponsive in his vehicle, and they discovered that he was suffering from a gunshot wound. So most likely he died from the gunshot wound. This comes in the immediate aftermath of two men being shot at a vigil for an 18-year-old girl who was murdered on Sunday night. One of the people murdered, and we still don't have names on them, was a juvenile. So young people continue to die in Andrew Ginther's Columbus. We do, however, have details on how 18-year-old Demaya Cummerlander died. She was at a party, according to the person who now admits he shot and killed her, with other friends, and they were, let me quote directly, drinking and smoking weed while playing with firearms. These according to court records. What do you think is going to happen if you're drinking and smoking weed and playing with firearms? Why are young people in Columbus playing with firearms? Because they perceive, and they may not be wrong, that they need them to stay safe on the streets of Linden, Franklinton, the Hilltop, the Near East Side, an ever-expanding area of violence in our city. I told you yesterday, the areas of town where I consider myself safe now are nowhere near as vast as they used to be. Downtown, what's to worry about? In the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s. And 3 terms of Michael Coleman, 3 terms of Andrew Ginther. A lot of things have changed. Wouldn't consider myself safe anywhere on the south side, anywhere on the east side. North side, that's sketchy too. How far inside 270 on the north side would you consider yourself to be safe? Remember the guy who got shot at the Roosters on 161, Dublin Granville Road? It's not very far inside 270 on the north side. Hope you're safe in Dublin this week. The Memorial Tournament is in town. Now, I don't know that the car thieves that have turned Columbus into a criminal cesspool would attempt to steal cars at the Memorial Tournament, but there are going to be a lot of cars there, and there are going to be a lot of luxury cars there. Problem is, there's also a lot of traffic there, and it's hard to get away. And Dublin police do a great job keeping their community safe. And the rules are different in Dublin, just be advised. Kia boys and juvenile idiots in Columbus who are stealing cars. If you do it in Dublin, you might fool around and find out. You won't in the city of Columbus, not because CPD is incompetent, but because the people who lead CPD and steward CPD and threaten CPD, and I'm talking about Elaine Bryant and everyone that Mayor Ginther has brought in from the city of Detroit. Not just Bryant, but the second in command at the police division and the inspector general, or whatever fancy title they give the person. Plus, we have the creation of the Civilian Oversight Review Board. That's another way that Andrew Ginther and Zach Klein can demoralize Columbus police. But back to the party where Demaya Cummerlander was murdered. The person who shot her is 20-year-old Kenneth Hairston. So 18-year-old dead, 20-year-old shot her. His life has changed. Caleb McKenzie, 21, dead in the car accident, found with a gunshot wound. Notice a trend here? Mr. Hairston, who has been charged with involuntary manslaughter and having a weapon under disability. Is Mr. Hairston in a wheelchair? Is Mr. Hairston missing a leg? No. Having a weapon under disability means that he has a prior felony conviction and was not permitted to have a gun. I've never associated somebody who's a criminal and criminal history makes them unlawful to have a gun. That's considered a disability? Well, maybe in the city of Columbus, that is a disability. Given what Andrew Ginter has done to our city, maybe it is a disability not to be able to have a sidearm to protect yourself. But he's not allowed to have a gun. So he's had a felony conviction. He's not allowed to have a gun. He has a gun. He's playing with it. And I know how this happened because the model of gun that shot Demaya Cumberlander is the model of gun that I have. And some guns do not have safeties on them. And the reason why they don't have safeties on them is because if you know how to use the gun, then you don't really want a safety on it, because if you're in a situation where you need to use the gun, the last thing you want to do is add another step to get you into a position where you can actually use the gun for its purpose, which is to defend yourself. So they're playing with this type of gun at this party. And the people who were at the party tell the homicide detectives that Hairston, the guy who shot Demaya Cumberlander, and 4 other people, so we got 6 people in a house, and they are smoking weed, drinking, playing with the gun. One of the people handed Hairston a gun, handgun, and tried convincing him to trade guns. So there's more than one gun among the 6 people. Hairston told detectives that he refused and attempted to hand the gun back to the person, but the person smacked his hand, causing the gun to fire and striking Cumberlander. This is a reasonable possibility in that situation, assuming that the smacking of his hand caused him to squeeze the trigger, and there was a round in the chamber, and there's no safety because it couldn't be on if there's no safety, and she died. And then we have the 2 men shot at her vigil, which sounds to me like, I'm spitballing here, somebody's mad that Hairston killed Demaya Cumberlander, and I don't know if he was at the vigil or not, but he didn't report himself to police until after the vigil. And is it a coincidence that after 2 men were shot and murdered at the vigil, Mr. Hairston decides, hey, you know what, maybe I ought to get an attorney and I ought to go downtown and I ought to confess to this before somebody kills me, because they're probably going to take me into custody and then I'll be safe, or safer than I am on the streets of Andrew Ginter's Columbus. Yes, that is entirely possible. Okay, so that's your Columbus crime roundup. Now let's go to Cleveland, Ohio, where we have a 3-year-old boy. I said a 3-year-old boy accompanying his mother to the Giant Eagle grocery store in North Olmsted. I used to do radio remotes in North Olmsted once a week. North Olmsted is not a violent area. North Olmsted is where Bernie Moreno's Mercedes dealership is located. They don't tend to put Mercedes dealerships in impoverished areas of cities. So 38-year-old Margot Wood is at the Giant Eagle at 3 p.m. on Memorial Day. She has her adorable 3-year-old son, Julian, with her. And Julian is, like most 3-year-old boys, sitting in the top area of the grocery cart. And they're putting groceries in the back of her car, maybe going home for a cookout at 6 o'clock. And they are approached by 32-year-old Bianca Ellis. Now, not for nothing, but I mention this because I'll come back to it later. Bianca Ellis is black. Margot Wood, 38, and her son Julian are both white. Bianca Ellis, according to North Olmsted police, comes up and stabs them both and kills Julian. And I love this. from North Olmsted Police. They called the attack, quote, an entirely random act of violence and said the woman had no motive. How do they know that? How do they know she had no motive? You know what the motive would be if the attacker were white and the victims were black? You know what at least would be explored as a motive? You know what prosecutors, not just in North Olmsted, but from the Department of Justice would be looking at as a possibility, which is never mentioned in this story, and I guarantee you will not be on the table. That this was a hate crime, that this woman and her son were stabbed because they're white and the perpetrator is black. Oh, by the way, I should have probably mentioned this beforehand. Bianca Ellis works for the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. Nice hire by the government. Oh, and there's more about Bianca Ellis. Can't wait to tell you about it in the next segment.
Cloudy skies, some showers, and a heavy thunderstorm around high 81.
Grief. What kind of country are we in? Friggin' Democratic policies ruin every city. They ruin every city. It's unsafe to live in a city now. Oh, can't say it's racist. It's not racist, it's factual.
And on Saturday, cloudy and breezy with a high 77. I'm Andy Robb on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Before I tell you about a very special offer, I want to first explain why this product is absolutely worth it without the discount. I don't take a particular supplement just because I get a discount. Anything as important as nutrition, I'll research that first. If you go to balanceofnature.com and scroll down their homepage to see all that goes into each bottle of Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables, you'll see, like I did, it's well worth it. But not just the ingredients, the real stories from hundreds of thousands of real customers. Each story another example of how people are benefiting from Balance of Nature. Take their risk-free challenge today and use my special promo code to get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional set and free shipping. Call 800-2468-751 or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use discount code GORKA. That's balanceofnature.com, code GORKA.
This is Josh Fick with the Actress Blueprint Radio Show. The thing that I hear most often in meetings is, what do I do when it seems like stocks and bonds are getting crushed? Rates at the bank are abysmal, and inflation is at 40-year highs. Well, you're not alone, and there are better options. Did you know that you can lock in darn near double-digit returns in a positive market while simultaneously accepting zero downside risk? Learn more about ideas like this and many other ways to improve your financial situation by listening to the Actress Retirement Blueprint Radio Show Friday evenings at 6, Saturday afternoons at noon, or call our office today at 614-917-1040.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds and conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Brandon Tatum, weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, followed by Charlie Kirk at 7. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Hi, Mike Gallagher here. Let me tell you about my friends at Innovative Roofing Systems. They're the finest, most trustworthy installers in Central Ohio. If you need a roof inspection, it's free. If you install a new roof or siding and mention Mike and this ad, you get a $1,000 discount on your residential project. Innovative Roofing Systems. Schedule your appointment today, 614-324-9797. 614-324-9797 or go to innovativeroofingsystems.oh.com.
PatriotSwitch.com products, man. Every day, headlines prove you need to find an alternate source to provide you a couple of things. Number one, safe products. Like the store shelf products, how many recalls do you see? And they're always recalled because of nitrates, benzenes, bleach, all kinds of toxic chemicals in products meant to extend their shelf life. So you'll buy them, but they don't care anything about you. The people at Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson. Well, that's not true. They do care about you. They want you to buy their products. But what about striking a blow against these woke corporations that fund, oh, by the way, Planned Parenthood, Human Rights Campaign, all these woke causes you don't support? Why don't you buy these products you're already buying from a better vendor, one that gives to pro-life causes and pro-police causes, one that makes everything that it sells to you and ships direct to your home? I'm talking about PatriotSwitch.com products. They are fantastic. We have been getting them in the Hooley family for more than 2.5 years. My daughters won't let me quit. They love the makeup. The products are amazing, and the cost is comparable to lower than you'll pay at the store. Better for you, better for the country, better for all of us. PatriotSwitch.com/Bruce. So there appears to be some dispute about whether or not the murderer of a 3-year-old boy in Cleveland, Bianca Ellis, does work for the Department of Job and Family Services. I've now Googled her name and found out more information about her. And the Cuyahoga County Department of Job and Family Services office says that she does not work there. Now, that's not been determined yet because the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services has not responded to some of the news sites asking for details on this woman. But what we do know is that she's black, the victims are white, and it's not being investigated as a hate crime. And it won't be investigated as a hate crime because remember when they told us that black people are not capable of racism? And this is not a show to like try to stir up racial divide. It's a show to point out the absurdity of the two-tiered system of justice in our country, where they tried to give Hunter Biden a plea deal that, first of all, let's go all the way back to Hunter Biden. The Hunter Biden laptop, not real, Russian disinformation, can't be circulated on Facebook, can't be retweeted on Twitter. Yesterday in Delaware, the Hunter Biden laptop that was not real and was Russian disinformation and was all made up and couldn't be confirmed was introduced into evidence in a federal gun case against Hunter Biden. Introduced into evidence by federal prosecutors in the trial of Hunter Biden. Okay, two-tiered system of justice, right? Okay. So we got the Donald Trump stuff in New York. We've covered it ad nauseum. No need to go back into it. You know, and I know that if the races were reversed in this incident in North Olmsted, Ohio, which is a suburb of Cleveland on the west side, you know the possibility of this being a hate crime would have been posed by now because the murder happened 3 p.m. Memorial Day afternoon. No, it happened 3 p.m. Monday afternoon. Memorial Day was more than a week ago. I'm still living in my 3-day weekend. It happened like 2 days ago. But North Olmsted police say this was entirely a random act of violence. Huh? A woman sees another woman with her adorable 3-year-old son in the caddy of a shopping cart and decides, I'm going to go over and stab them both and kill the boy. Who? Like, how's that a random act of violence? She stabbed the boy in his back and cheek. The murderer was arrested while walking away from the scene, still holding a bloodied kitchen knife, allegedly used in the attack, according to this website. Yeah, allegedly. Now, here's the thing. This woman who did the murder, Bianca Ellis, 32 years old, was arrested days earlier on a parole violation after an unrelated incident at a Walmart, but was released. She visited the North Olmsted Police Department on Monday morning to discuss her arrest. She was at the police department the morning she committed the murder. So now we go to Channel 19 News in Cleveland. And their website says, quoting a North Olmsted Detective Sergeant Matthew Beck. Is he not related? Is possibly a first close relative of Barney Fife? There is nothing that shows that she has any violent tendencies, he said of Bianca Ellis. Nothing that shows she has any violent tendencies. Okay, let's go back. Court records show Ellis had been charged with theft at a North Olmsted Walmart in May of last year. She pleaded guilty to a lesser charge, of course. Why charge her with what she did? Of unauthorized use of property, and was given a 6-month probation. So you can steal stuff from Walmart in North Olmsted, Ohio, rotten Cleveland Democratic stench stronghold, and get off essentially scot-free. Judge Brian Hagan at Rocky River Municipal Court oversaw the case and told Channel 19 that Ellis never completed her required theft education program, thereby violating her probation. A warrant was then issued for her arrest. So she was arrested last Thursday at Walmart. A welfare check was done on her, and she was found to have the warrant, so she was taken into custody, and then she was released and came back Monday morning inquiring about some property of hers. Probably the stuff she stole. Where's the stuff I stole? I got to have that. Records showed this past March. Remember, this woman has no violent tendencies, no criminal history. What happens? According to the principle of sowing and reaping, folks, when you don't punish crime when it occurs, when you don't send a message, when you don't take people who have shown clearly that they are not capable of being a part of an orderly society, not hard to stay out of the back of a police car, what happens? You get what you sow, more than you sow, later than you sow it. So she steals something, violates her probation. Then last March in Florida, Ellis tried renting a room at a hotel, but didn't have the funds to do so. When the clerk at the front desk asked her to leave, she refused. Entitlement, right? I'm entitled to it. You're giving it to people coming across the border. Why won't you give it to me? This is where we are in our culture. And I got a story out of Chicago that's every bit as bad or even worse. A woman and her husband, both white, walking down a street in downtown Chicago. A roving gang of teenagers comes up behind the husband, punches him in the head, punches him again in the head. He tells his wife to run. She runs. They tackle her. They tear her hair out. I got a picture of her holding a big chunk of her hair that they ripped out. They kick her. They beat her. And they kill the child she is pregnant with. What charges are filed against only 2 of the teens, both juveniles? Misdemeanors. Misdemeanors. This is America, ladies and gentlemen. This is George Soros funded crime and punishment policy, which is to say, crime is not punished. That's the policy. And you are told crime is down. The Biden administration tells you it's down. It is not down. Not from when Donald Trump was in office, maybe from the George Floyd riot period and 2021 when Biden took office, but it is not down compared to what it used to be when we actually had law and order.
With SRN News, Honor. Testimony continues today in Hunter Biden's gun trial. Cross-examination of an FBI agent being questioned about messages he sent around the time of the gun purchase that's at issue at the trial. First Lady Jill Biden is attending the trial for a 3rd day before joining the president in France for D-Day commemoration ceremonies. Boeing has launched astronauts for the first time after years of delays. 2 NASA test pilots blasted off today aboard Boeing's Starliner capsule in Cape Canaveral, Florida. Triple-digit high temperatures are spreading across the Southwest, across multiple states from Texas to California. It's dangerous heat. Maricopa County, Arizona saw 645 heat-related deaths last year. On Wall Street, the Dow 60 is 25 points higher. The Nasdaq up 223 points. More details, srnnews.com.
Government debt is now exploding by an unprecedented $1 trillion every 90 days. Think of that. It's a clear sign that our nation's finances are spinning out of control, and it's putting the savings of every one of you at risk. Hello, I'm Lance Wallnow, a news analyst and best-selling author and an evangelical leader. I'm deeply concerned about the impact this runaway debt is going to have on Christians like you who have worked hard to build your own nest egg for your family. To protect your financial future in these uncertain times, you need to diversify with something tangible and proven, like physical gold. That's why I recommend a gold IRA. To learn more, text FAITH to the number 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will rush you a free info kit on how to move your IRA or 401k to physical precious metals, tax and penalty free. So don't wait. Just text the word FAITH to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold Group is the only company I trust. There's no obligation. So text FAITH to 989898, and I pray this information helps you achieve prosperity.
He's one of the top 10 radio hosts in the country. He never varnishes his opinions. And now more than ever, you need to spend part of your day with a healthy dose of the Mike Gallagher Show. Weekday mornings from 9 to 11 on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
You'll sleep better knowing you got a great deal on a great mattress because you got it from Mac Mattress Outlet and the Discount Shopping Club. Right now, get a $500 certificate from Mac Mattress Outlet toward any mattress purchase for only $250. These certificates go fast, and when they're gone, they're gone. For details, log on to the Discount Shopping Club at 989theanswer.com.
Mac Mattress Outlet.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. Oil and natural gas keep going up as the Russia conflict escalates. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC accredited investor and have at least $25,000 liquid now, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects and a huge tax savings for this year. If you invest in oil and natural gas, you're allowed to write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Goldman Sachs is projecting oil to go up to $100 a barrel, and natural gas is the fuel of the future and trading at record prices. Call 800-287-6691. Encore Energy is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 800-287-6691. That's 800-287-6691.
News, opinion, passion. Here, 98.9 FM, The Answer, anywhere you go. With The Answer's mobile app at 989theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn, or iHeart.
Big Father's Day sweepstakes. Don't miss out. It is available to you to enter at 989theanswer.com. The Father's Day sweepstakes 2024 could pay your dad $500 if you are the winner. You can register at 989theanswer.com, and you will also be eligible to win a copy of the book Winning at Home, Tackling the Topics that Confuse Kids and Scare Parents. That's by Dan Seaborn, who is the author and president of Winning at Home. Hey, if you want to really win, why don't you get on the Patriots Alaska cruise with Dr. Seb Gorka and Mike Gallagher. It sails from Seattle. Can't wait to get out of that woke hellhole on June the 29th, and you'll celebrate America's birthday with like-minded patriots and listen to Dr. Seb and Mike Gallagher talk about the current issues. Not that they'll run out of topics there. Also, you can join us on June the 27th at Dave & Buster's in Hilliard for the first presidential debate watch party. I'll be there, be chatting during the commercial breaks, be interacting with you. Buy your ticket. Got to have one to get in at 989theanswer.com. It's not exactly breaking news that Joe Biden is old and addled and a mush brain, but a Wall Street Journal story adds further context to those characteristics of our incompetent president. The Wall Street Journal interviewed, I think it was 45 Republican and Democratic lawmakers and staffers. So this took a long, long time to do, and they got a lot of data. And it's not flattering to Joe Biden. Now, I'll get into that story momentarily. But first, Time Magazine today runs online the transcript of its May 28th interview with Joe Biden. And there are instances in this interview with Time of where Joe Biden is, as we all know, confused and not really in charge. Here is a portion of the Time interview. I'll read it to you. Question: what is the nature of your conversations with the Israelis right now? Have you spoken with Bibi, meaning the Prime Minister of Israel, Bibi Netanyahu? Biden's response: I have not spoken with Bibi since the attack on Sunday. Was it Sunday? One of his advisors goes, yes, Sunday. Biden says, I have not. My team has. So we go down a little bit further. And he's asked about the 8 American hostages held by Hamas. Question: are there 8 U.S. hostages there in Gaza? Are they still alive? Biden says, we believe there are those that are still alive. I met with all the families, but we don't have final proof on exactly who's alive and who is not alive. And by the way, I've been calling for, we should have a ceasefire, period. And that's to get the hostages. That's the main reason why we push. The Israelis desperately want a ceasefire in order to get the hostages home. And it's a way to begin to break the momentum. And so that's what we're pushing hard for. And is our intelligence chief in? Where is he now? And bootlick John Kirby has to say, he is back, sir. He was just over in Europe, in Brussels, over the weekend. Wait, it gets worse. Next question to Joe Biden from Time. Well, maybe 2 questions later. Some in Israel have suggested that Bibi Netanyahu is prolonging the war for his own political self-preservation. Do you believe that? Biden says, I'm not going to comment on that. There is every reason, and then he does. There is every reason for people to draw that conclusion. And I would cite that as, before the war began, the blowback he was getting from the Israeli military for wanting to change the constitution, change the court. And so it's an internal domestic debate that seems to have no consequence. And whether he would change his position or not, it's hard to say. But it has not been helpful. So this is another instance, not Chuck Schumer this time, not squad wackos like Jamal Bowman and Ilhan Omar and AOC. This is Joe Biden directly saying that Bibi Netanyahu is prolonging the war with Hamas, incidentally, for political purposes. Incidentally, in this same interview, Joe Biden discloses further horrific details of what Hamas did in its attack on October the 6th. He says, what they did, he's talking about Hamas, what they did exceeded anything I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot. They tied mothers and daughters together with rope, poured kerosene on them, and burned them to death. That's Joe Biden talking about Hamas. And then he's saying Bibi Netanyahu, curiously motivated by the horrific, unprovoked attack of Hamas, tying women and children together and burning them to death, that Bibi Netanyahu is prolonging this for political purposes, not to avenge terroristic butchers who openly state in their founding document that they want to eradicate Jews from the face of the earth. I would hope we'd have an American president who, if some foreign adversary came into our country and tied your mom and your daughter together and burned them with kerosene, would not waffle in his determination to avenge their deaths. But Joe Biden says Bibi Netanyahu is only conducting war against Hamas and only trying to eradicate Hamas for political purposes. This is how stupid he is. This is how invested he is in his own re-election rather than in doing what is right. And you don't have to trust me on this. Here is Mark Penn, political strategist, Democratic political strategist, talking about this Time interview, the Wall Street Journal interview, where after the Democratic lawmakers quoted in the article about Joe Biden losing it and being slow and unable to keep up and uninformed in meetings and sleepy, these same Democratic lawmakers were ordered by the White House and did in fact follow up with Wall Street Journal reporters to say, I just want to make sure you don't get the wrong impression that the president is limited in any way. He's really sharp and he gets more done in an hour than the rest of us do all day, and the staff can't keep up with him. That's why Biden arrived in France this morning and immediately called a lid for the rest of the day, because he's so full of energy. He has to go work it off in the hotel gym. Mark Penn on Biden, his gaffe, and Democrats apologizing for him. Again, Mark Penn, Democratic political strategist.
I would say as Trump's ahead, the administration's fighting back on immigration. He's going to fight back on age.
Let me start this again because I had Harris Faulkner up on Fox. Hold on one more time. Here is Mark Penn.
The Memorial Day scorecard, I would say, is Trump's ahead. The administration's fighting back on immigration. He's going to fight back on age with the debate. I think you see an active campaign doing what they can, and they're going to emphasize the strengths that he's got and the weaknesses. Look, the biggest thing in the Time interview that gave me concern was what he said about Netanyahu, which I think was a real problem. What he said basically was Netanyahu was keeping the war going on for political purposes. That was a horrible thing to say about your ally, to accuse them of basically wasting lives for political purposes. And I think he's got to walk that comment back from that Time interview.
Clean up on aisle 5. How many times do we have that? We'll have it tomorrow when he embarrasses us without question in his speech at Normandy on the 80th anniversary of D-Day. I can't think of an American president who will do a worse job in such a hallowed place of valor and courage than Joe Biden. Even Obama would do a better job because Obama can read a teleprompter. Now to the Wall Street Journal story. The White House maintains that Joe Biden is still a vibrant and effective leader, despite the opinions expressed by 45 Republican and Democratic lawmakers who offered insight into the commander-in-chief, which they labeled as concerning. The dozens who spoke to the Wall Street Journal describe a president who today speaks so softly that some struggle to even understand what he is saying. We've all heard that, right? Others pointed to the commander-in-chief's declining grasp of important policy details and increasing reliance on notes and impromptu offerings from aides. Did I just not give you an example of 2 of those impromptu offerings from aides? And have we not seen Joe Biden at press conferences holding note cards and reading off them as he almost literally falls asleep when he's sitting in front of a fireplace welcoming foreign leaders to the White House? One instance of him being completely uninformed. Mike Johnson, House Speaker, was at the White House to talk to Biden about his prohibition on exporting liquid natural gas. Johnson said that this helps Vladimir Putin. The quote from Johnson, "You are helping Vladimir Putin." Biden responded by claiming that that was not true, erroneously stating that his ban on exporting liquid natural gas was only a study. Johnson appeared visibly horrified by the fact that Biden appeared to have forgotten details of his own policy. Yeah, what could be scarier than that? He's got the nuclear codes. I'm sure nothing bad could happen.
Skies and showers and a heavy thunderstorm around high 81. Evening showers and a thunderstorm, otherwise clouds. Tonight's low 65. Partly sunny and breezy with a shower on Thursday, the high 82, low 58 for tomorrow night. Friday, sunshine and some clouds, a shower in spots with a high 70. And on Saturday, cloudy and breezy with a high 77. I'm Andy Robb on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Government debt is now exploding by an unprecedented $1 trillion every 90 days. Think of that. It's a clear sign that our nation's finances are spinning out of control, and it's putting the savings of every one of you at risk. Hello. I'm Lance Wallnau, a news analyst and best-selling author and evangelical leader. I'm deeply concerned about the impact this runaway debt is going to have on Christians like you who have worked hard to build your own nest egg for your family. To protect your financial future in these uncertain times, you need to diversify with something tangible and proven, like physical gold. That's why I recommend a gold IRA. To learn more, text FAITH to the number 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will rush you a free info kit on how to move your IRA or 401k to physical precious metals, tax and penalty-free. So don't wait. Just text the word FAITH to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold Group is the only company I trust. There's no obligation. So text FAITH to 989898, and I pray this information helps you achieve prosperity and peace of mind.
When will the danger become crystal clear? When you read another statistic? When it happens to your neighbor? When your family is shattered? When will you finally take action? Don't let another family's life fall to pieces due to the dangers of unsafe railroad crossings. Report bad railroad crossings at angelsontrack.org. That's angelsontrack.org. Because bad crossings kill good drivers. Sponsored by Angels on Track, aired by OAB and the station.
Hey everybody, Charlie Kirk here. Did you know that 80% of adults take supplements to feel our best, right? Well, one thing your dog can't do without you is improve their diet or health to feel their best. That is why I believe Rough Greens could dramatically help your best friend by adding what is missing to their diet like you do. Rough Greens is helping thousands and thousands of dogs feel better and live longer, including my dog, Mr. Briggs, who loves it. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, who created Rough Greens, is also an airborne ranger and Green Beret, an amazing He loves dogs and is on a mission to help as many as he can. Dog food is dead, and Rough Greens supplements your dog's food with existing vitamins and minerals, omega oils, digestive enzymes, probiotics, and antioxidants. Dr. Black is offering you a free Jumpstart Trial bag. To get your free Jumpstart Trial bag, just cover shipping. Don't change your dog's food. Go to roughgreens.com/Kirk, rufgreens.com/Kirk.
Monica Hendrick talks about how the designers at Miller Cabinets of Plain City captured her vision.
I always worked with Sarah, the designer, and she would do renderings, and with her renderings, she would send it via email, and then of course we'd meet in person and always say the fun stuff is picking out the handles, picking out the different patterns for the wood doors, so that was always my fun thing to do. And she would suggest, maybe you don't want that, might be a little bit too modern, just maybe a tad more old-fashioned. So she always came up with a good idea, or if we picked something out first, she'd say, yeah, I think that would fit very nicely. So it was always very easy to work with Sarah for that reason, because she gave her honest opinion if she liked it or not. So that was good. And we agreed. We liked it.
Miller Cabinets of Plain City help capture your vision for your home. Get inspired today at millercabinets.com. That's millercabinets.com.
We are having friends over tonight, 6 o'clock. People who do not live in our area used to. They gave our children piano lessons years ago. Looking forward to seeing Les and Nancy. And you know what? When friends come over, out come the Riverbend Ranch Steaks. Yeah, they're in for a treat. We love Riverbend Ranch Steaks at the Hooley household. You'll love them too, but you won't be able to tell me you love them unless you actually order them. And you can do that at riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. Now, you can pick your own bundle. You like New York strip, you like ribeye, you like filet mignon, steak strips. Makes a great Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Check it all out at riverbendranchsteaks.com. Why are they better? Because they have no hormones and no antibiotics in the beef. And because every cut that you get shipped to your house after it's flash frozen and perfectly dry aged is USDA Choice and Prime. They breed the cattle with excellent marbling. They can predict that based upon the genetics of the animal. It's very scientific, but you benefit. The taste is phenomenal, and the price is lower than any other meat buying service. And they also give you the option of every month or every other month. So check it out, riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley, riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. So Joe Biden apparently found new powers yesterday that he didn't know he had the first 3.5 years of his presidency. He did announce the executive action on the border that we told you he would announce. And true to his brand, lying through his teeth every time he opens his mouth, This is how Joe Biden began his announcement of the fact that now we'll limit the people coming across the border phony claims of asylum to just under 1 million a year. Whose fault is that?
Come here today to do what the Republicans in Congress refuse to do. Take the necessary steps to secure our border.
Oh, I come here today to do what the Republicans in Congress have refused to do. They passed H.R. 2. It's been sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk ever since they passed it more than a year ago. Chuck Schumer brought it up for a vote. No, he has not. By the way, remember that Senate bill that John Thune sold us out on, and Biden was so upset that Trump said, don't approve that. It's a rotten bill. The Democrats contended at the time that the 5,000 per day crossing number that was allowed in that bill was as low as they'd ever go. As low as they'd ever go. 5,000 a day. Are we not? My math's a little sketchy. Are we not at a 50% reduction from that? 2,500? Why? Is that because Joe Biden has had a come to Jesus moment on the gravity of the border crisis? Call me skeptical. He has had a come to Jesus moment on his re-election crisis. That's why this is being done. And Trump should beat him over the head with this on June the 27th. He should beat him over the head with this. Have stories of Laken Riley's murder, other illegals throughout the country. The guy who shot the 2 cops in New York just a few days ago is not just an illegal alien. He's a member of a Venezuelan gang. I'll have details on that in hour number 2. But back to addled mushbrain Biden and his interview with Time. And then we'll get back to the Wall Street Journal interview. How many times have we seen, and have you seen in your family, when people get older, their fuse gets a little shorter, right? They get a little angry, flash anger. It's not part of who mom is, not part of who dad is. A heartbreaking story of a friend of mine from church who said, it's really tough watching my mom decline because she's just not the same temperament that she used to be. And that's what dementia does to you. It's insidious. It's terrible. It's awful. Biden's always been a self-absorbed gas bag. But we've seen the evidence of the flash anger, right? In the Robert Hur press conference. How dare he bring up Beau Biden? Well, he didn't bring up Beau Biden. You did, idiot. So here's a snippet of the Time interview where he's asked if he can still do the job of the president at 85 years old, which is how old he would be in a second term. And Biden says, I can do it better than anybody you know. You're looking at me. I can take you too. Why is that question a personal challenge to his manhood, his bravado? And then Biden went into the fact that every single time he's abroad, every single foreign leader brings up the threat to democracy of Donald Trump. If they were really concerned about that, wouldn't all these foreign leaders say that on the record? Hey, America, you better put Joe Biden back in office. We really need him in office. None of them are saying that. Why are none of them saying that? Because none of them are saying that. And Joe Biden's lying about them saying that. That's why. Here's the campaign ad that Trump released right after Biden's sudden border epiphany.
We have rescinded so many Trump immigration policies. It would take so much time to list them.
There have been more than 1 million migrant encounters since October 1st, when our fiscal year began. It is the earliest this milestone has ever been reached.
It's a mess that this administration created from day one. Smugglers and cartels exploiting chaos at the border. Agents are being removed from the line. They're having to process. They're having to do all the administrative work. And who is it that's, flourishing from this? It's the drug cartels.
Cartel gunmen stroll along the riverbank, armed with rifles. It's here where cartel gunmen have repeatedly been seen wandering through the brush after crossing into the U.S. illegally.
And it's not going to stop because this administration doesn't want it to stop.
This administration just does not care about the American people. They've shown that time and time again.
That is the U.S. side of the Rio Grande. 58 terrorists have crossed the southern border.
The entire world is showing up here at our doorstep, They're crossing illegally, and they're expecting to get released here into the United States. We are in the biggest crisis, border security crisis, that we've ever faced in the history of this country. Nobody has done worse on border security than President Biden. In all aspects of border security, he is clearly failing. He has no answers.
This is insane. The federal government has to wake up.
I know that 1,000 overwhelms the system. I cannot begin to imagine what 4,000 a day looks like.
Democratic operatives, Republican operatives, all cited in that Trump campaign ad. Beat him up on that, beat him up on costs, beat him up on his addled nature. I mean, like, here's the other thing Trump should pound and pound and pound and pound and pound. These are all in the Wall Street Journal story. You forget them because they're such routine demonstrations of how inept Biden is. He forgot the name of Alexei Navalny's widow. He forgot the name of Helmut Kohl, the German chancellor, who he said he spoke to, except he was dead. Jackie Walorski, the congresswoman from Indiana. He asked if she was at a press conference, except she'd been killed in a car accident a month before. He mixed up the leaders of Egypt and Mexico. Oh, let's not forget Uncle Brozy, eaten by cannibals, except he wasn't. At a fundraiser a year ago, he claimed to have recently spoken to French President Francois Mitterrand, despite Mitterrand dying more than 20 years ago, almost 30. Okay, what's the harm in that, Bruce? I mean, it's embarrassing, but what's the harm in that? The harm is on policies that matter. Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Gaza. Biden is disconnected, to be kind. One source told the Wall Street Journal, at a meeting with Biden during critical negotiations over congressional funding for Ukraine in January, the president moved so slowly it took him 10 minutes to greet the nearly 24 top leaders summit. The meeting did not start until the president was finished. Quote from the person at the meeting, "You couldn't be there and not feel uncomfortable." At one point, Biden thought he ought to chime in, and so he began reading from notes, making broad points about the need to give money to Ukraine. This struck several as odd, given lawmakers there were more than familiar with the fact that funds were needed. The problem was Biden was making general points that had nothing to do with the specifics of what they were meeting about, and that the people at the meeting had trouble hearing him and could not make out what he was saying. Finally, they just decided to have the meeting with him sitting there, but not participating. That sounds like a great idea for the years ahead of us. Him not participating. Heard the saying that knowledge is power. Well, I'm Bruce Hooley, and I'm here to tell you that is absolutely true. Thanks for joining us. Hour number 1, Bruce Hooley Show in the books. You can catch hour number 2 at the Bruce Hooley Show Facebook page and at the 9890 Answer Facebook page. You can find our podcast at 9890answer.com. It's broken up by segments. You can share that easily. Send it to your friends. Man, pray for our country. We need serious help. Serious help. And I don't know. I know God's in control. I don't know what he's doing. I wouldn't pretend to say that I do know what he's doing. But if there's ever been a time where good has been portrayed as evil and evil has been portrayed as good, it's right now. So if you care about the future of your children and your grandchildren, you're going to have to objectively look at which presidential candidate gives us the best chance to recapture the country that we used to be. And I don't think that's a hard choice. If you're hung up on, oh, Trump will break democracy, you need to really face whether empowering a political party that has demonstrated over and over and over and over again that it's willing to break the norms of our country, blind equal protection under the law, the Hunter Biden laptop story, silence, now introduced into evidence in a federal trial. You got to look at the people who are saying they're protecting democracy How committed are you to protecting democracy if you're willing to break the norms of democracy in order to protect it? Because once you break that glass, there's no going back. And they've broken it.
I forgot to tell you.